I want to show you guys this belt squat I put together last night. I've been having issues with, I think it's probably my L1 disc where the spine meets the pelvis. I think about 2 years probably. I was building up on deadlifts. Was kind of frustrating. Wasn't even a heavy weight. Wasn't even near my max, but I think I damaged the disc. It acts like a bulging disc. It hits the nerves and it flares up when I do heavy deadlifts or heavy back squats or something of that nature. And I found out through trial and error, if I avoid heavy back squats and deadlifts, those are the major culprits, then all the other training goes fine. My back uh, holds together, and I can really hit it hard and do pretty much anything else I want. But as soon as I try to throw those back into my training, that what I believe is the disc, it gets angry again. So I uh, I put this belt squat together last night because I really wanted to do back squats. I want to hit the legs. I want to keep them strong, and this is definitely a good option to build your squat, or at a bare minimum, keep your squat in check while your back is healing. Try not to lose any leg strength. You're going to have to do other things to build your core, because back squat is also a good core builder. But other than that, it's going to hit the legs hard. So, and this setup I was very pleased with. I've looked at the machines recently. I've been keeping my eye on them. You can spend $3,700, I think, on Matt Winning's belt squat machine and Rogue's Rhino machine. I've used both of them. I know how both of them feel. So I was comparing the feel of those machines and the feel of the back squat and the front squat, all the other movements I've done throughout my life, to this belt squat. Okay, so keep that in mind. I have a lot of good reference points to go ahead and give this setup my blessing. All right, it felt really good. I was able to position the downward force where the chain is. That would be the force. Okay, right around the midfoot of the shoe, which is where you want your barbell when it's on your shoulders. It's over the midpoint of the shoe right here. Okay. Everything was mechanically sound and trained the function that I wanted to train. So I will do this again. I'm going to have to invest in a better belt. This is just a cheap dip belt, and it has metal rings. You can see those right there. You don't want them in the hip joint right there. You want the metal rings out front, off of the hips. This one is apparently too small for me for belt squats anyways. I can use it for dips and pull-ups just fine. Not going to kill me. But if I go any heavier than I did last night, like I wanted to, I kept it at sets of 10, which was good work at sets of 10. It was good weight. Any heavier, and those metal rings just going to cut right through the flesh, dig right into the bone. It was pretty uncomfortable. And also, this belt's not really designed for super heavy loading, because eventually I would want to try to get close to the same feel as I do a 400-pound back squat with this belt squat. I want to try to get it set up that way. So I'll most likely be ordering a different belt that can be comfortable enough and not do any damage for the heavy loads. Other than that, I don't think there was anything else disappointing or any real cons. The log I chose because it has this handle here, I didn't. You could probably do this with a regular barbell, with the landmine attached to your rig with a regular barbell. But I use the log because I could wrap this chain around the handle, and the chain's not going anywhere. And combined with these wood blocks, it gave me a really good feel for the squat, where I could position so that the foot pressure was even throughout the whole squat. Not too much toe pressure, not too much heel pressure. It was the foot pressure was even. I could mimic the feel of my back squat very close with this setup. All right, this is a great setup to give your back a rest. The compressive force of back squat is a downside of the back squat. It can get you. I don't think if I was an extreme competitive athlete that I would ever had any back issues at all, but I was constantly pushing my body to the limit to compete in sports. And I've competed in strongman and CrossFit, wrestling, football my whole life. And I've always been trying to push my numbers to the limits. Okay. Where for a multi-purpose athlete, not a specialist in powerlifting or Olympic weightlifting, strength events, my numbers are pretty heavy, and there's some risk involved in pushing yourself to those numbers. Wouldn't necessarily recommend those extremes to somebody looking for fitness. Okay, so nowadays, if I stopped training, if I wasn't using the training protocols I use, my back would be much worse. Just have to be careful and look for workarounds until your body heals itself. This is a good workaround for any disc issues you have. And there is some consideration to be made for the traction that this creates. It may, Louis Simmons says it helps with healing discs, the traction with the belt squat and reverse hyper, those kind of things. That may help. He claims it does. I'm not going to really argue one way or another, but that could be a benefit of doing these. So I'm going to be doing them more often, trying to rebuild. Now, with the setup with the blocks that I have, I'm able to get pretty good depth. If you just do it on the floor, it would still work. But if you can get blocks like I have, you can get that hip crease pretty low. I like to get the hip crease below my kneecap. Okay, I want the hip crease right at the center of my kneecap. And you can see that I'm getting pretty close to it with this depth. All right, but you don't want to, I don't think you want to get so extreme that you can't bail out. All right, that's another positive to this, is it's pretty safe. If I get stuck right there, I'll just set the log on the ground and sit on it. I'll just sit on it. I don't need a spotter. And then I'll take the chain off. Where if I'm doing a 400 pound back squat, that can be a little difficult to bail out if I get stuck. If you kind of need a spotter if you're going that heavy. So that's another upside. And another upside is you can put the emphasis on your heels on purpose, especially for beginner squatters, to get them used to heel drive. Because beginner squatters will intuitively squat on their toes. They'll be toe dominant, quad dominant. They don't know how to activate their hamstrings and glutes. So you can use a device like this to sit way back, put all the pressure on your heels, and keep it there, because you're anchored to it. You're tied to it. You won't fall over backwards. Okay, so that's an excellent tool for training that. You can fix somebody's squatting mechanics pretty quickly because they can connect their mind to the feel of heel drive. When before they don't even know what you're talking about when you say heel drive, they can execute it, and if they try, they fall over backwards. So this will fix that pretty quick. And say you have an imbalance. Say you want to isolate the hammies and the glutes, then you can lean back and put all the pressure on the heels and not fall over and drive up. Okay, same way like a sled or a leg press can easily put all the pressure on the quads. Okay, so that's the setup. Highly recommend it. You can definitely build ridiculously strong legs with just the belt squat. Competitive power lifters use it habitually and vouch for it. It's effective if you need time off, and it's a good way to add volume to your routine without putting more wear and tear on your spine. If you're an extreme competitive athlete, give your back a break. Say you do back squats on Monday, you can do belt squats on Thursday. A good way to split it up like that. So if you guys have any questions, post them below. You can recreate this in many different ways. This ended up being a win. This ended up working. You can do it with plywood. I really like the cable systems. Those are expensive. There's cheaper like rig additions you can try out, but this did the job.